Japanese cars are known for being reliable and ahead of their time, but not all of them survived. Some were too strange, too risky, or too controversial, quietly banned or erased from history. Bold experiments regulators weren't ready for. Today, we're digging up the Japanese cars automakers would rather you forget. 1990 Nissan 300ZX Twin-Turbo Z32. At first glance, the 1990 Nissan 300ZX Twin-Turbo did not look dangerous. Its smooth, rounded shape blended perfectly into the sea of early 90s Japanese coupes. That was the problem. Underneath that calm exterior was a car that delivered supercar-level performance at a price ordinary buyers could afford. Powered by a 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6, the Z32 produced 300 horsepower and 283 pound-feet of torque, launching from 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds. In 1990, that was a speed to talk about. Nissan packed the car with advanced technology, including four-wheel steering and electronic suspension damping, making it incredibly capable on twisty roads. Insurance companies noticed quickly. In places like Australia and parts of the United States, the car was flagged, restricted, or quietly removed from eligibility lists for younger drivers. Regulators did not like how accessible the performance was. The Z32's downfall was complexity. The twin-turbo setup was expensive to maintain, cramped under the hood, and unforgiving if neglected. Over time, reliability complaints grew. Nissan slowly stopped pushing the car, and it faded from the spotlight. But for a brief moment, the 300ZX Twin-Turbo gave everyday drivers a taste of forbidden speed. 1993 Subaru Legacy RS Type R. The 1993 Subaru Legacy RS Type R is one of the most deceptive performance cars ever built. It looked like a basic mid-size sedan, the kind you would see in a rental lot, but it was never meant for normal roads. This was a rally homologation special, built to qualify Subaru for Group A competition, and comfort was sacrificed without hesitation. Inside, there were no airbags, no ABS, no power windows, and almost no sound insulation. Weight reduction was the mission. Under the hood sat a turbocharged 2.0-liter flat 4, producing around 237 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque, paired to a close ratio 5-speed and a rally-tuned all-wheel drive system designed for gravel and speed, not safety. The car was brutally focused. Even the roof panel was thin to save weight. When importers attempted to bring it to the US, regulators shut it down immediately. It failed DOT crash requirements and emission standards. Only a handful slipped through. Despite its short life, the RS Type R quietly inspired Subaru's future performance icons, proving that greatness sometimes starts hidden in plain sight. 1989 Mazda Unos Cosmo 20B. The Mazda Unos Cosmo 20B looked like a luxury cruiser, but it hid one of the wildest engines ever put into a production car. Sold only in Japan, it was the first and only production vehicle powered by a 20B 3-rotor rotary engine, paired with twin sequential turbochargers. The result was 280 horsepower and 297 pound-feet of torque, enough to push this plush coupe to 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds. Mazda did not stop at the engine. The Cosmo featured technology that felt futuristic in 1989, including a touchscreen infotainment system, GPS navigation, and electronic climate control. It was meant to be a rolling showcase of Mazda's engineering ambition. But ambition came at a cost. The rotary engine was extremely thirsty and emitted high levels of pollution. As regulations tightened globally, the Cosmo stood no chance outside Japan. Import attempts were blocked, cars failed emissions testing, and many remained unregistered. Mazda eventually shelved the 20B entirely. The world forgot the Cosmo, but it remains one of the boldest experiments Japan ever allowed on the road. 1996 Toyota Century V12. The 1996 Toyota Century V12 was not built to impress enthusiasts. It was built to transport power. This ultra-luxury sedan served Japanese executives, diplomats, and royalty, offering silence and comfort rather than speed. Beneath its conservative design sat Toyota's only V12 engine ever made, a 5.0-liter unit producing an officially modest 276 horsepower and 355 pound-feet of torque, though many believe it was intentionally underrated. Each Century was hand-built and wrapped in extreme sound insulation. The rear seat was the focus, offering controls and comfort levels closer to a private jet than a car. Toyota never officially exported it, not for exclusivity, but because it could not meet emissions and safety standards in the US or Europe. Gray imports that slipped through were often heavily taxed, blacklisted, or impossible to register. Toyota avoided acknowledging the car internationally, keeping it a domestic secret. The Century V12 was not banned loudly. It was quietly kept out, making it one of Toyota's most mysterious creations. 1994, Toyota Celica GT4 ST 205. The 1994 Toyota Celica GT4 ST 205 was built with one purpose: to win the World Rally Championship. Beneath its sporty liftback shape was a serious weapon. A turbocharged 2.0-liter 3S engine produced 252 horsepower and 239 pound-feet of torque, paired with advanced all-wheel drive and super strut suspension borrowed directly from Toyota's motorsport division. This was the most powerful Celica homologation rally car ever sold to the public. But its rise was short-lived. During the 1995 WRC season, Toyota was caught using a highly sophisticated illegal turbo restrictor bypass. The FIA was stunned and issued a season-long ban, calling it the most creative cheating device they had ever seen. The scandal destroyed the car's reputation. Outside motorsport, emissions regulations kept it out of the US, and insurers flagged it as high risk. Toyota distanced itself from the ST205, leaving enthusiasts to debate whether the ban was deserved or simply proof that Toyota was too smart for the rulebook. 1993, Mazda RX-7 FD3S. The Mazda RX-7 FD3S is often called one of the best-handling cars ever built, and that reputation is well-earned. Low, wide, and perfectly balanced, it looked like a concept car that somehow reached production. Power came from a 1.3-liter twin-rotor rotary engine with twin sequential turbos, producing 255 horsepower and 217 pound-feet of torque. It could hit 60 miles per hour in about 5.3 seconds, but straight-line speed was never the point. The FD's magic was balance. Lightweight construction and precise steering made it feel alive on any road. But the rotary engine demanded care. Fuel economy was poor, maintenance was expensive, and emissions compliance became a nightmare as regulations tightened. Insurance companies flagged it, mechanics avoided it, and regulators lost patience. By the late 1990s, Mazda quietly pulled the RX-7 from several markets. Gray imports were restricted or banned unless heavily modified. The RX-7 became both a legend and a liability, remembered as a masterpiece that the modern world simply could not accommodate. 1995 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 3. The 1995 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 3 is the kind of car that scared regulators because it looked harmless. 4 doors, simple lines, and just enough attitude to hint at trouble. But underneath, this was a rally car dressed as a commuter. Built for Group A competition, the Evo 3 packed a 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4, pushing around 270 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque through a sharp 5-speed manual and a ruthless all-wheel drive system. It could hit 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, which was shocking for a sedan in the mid-90s. Grip was relentless, launches were violent, and the car felt more at home on a rally stage than a city street. That was exactly the issue. Mitsubishi never officially sold it in the United States because meeting emissions rules and crash standards would have cost more than the car could earn back. Enthusiasts tried anyway. Many imported examples were seized, denied registration, or stuck in legal limbo. A few slipped through under special exemptions, but most did not survive the paperwork. The Evo 3 became a forbidden chapter in Mitsubishi history, remembered as the moment the Evolution line truly became dangerous. 2002, Nissan Skyline GT-RR 34. Few cars have a reputation as untouchable as the Nissan Skyline GT-RR 34. Powered by the legendary RB26 DETT 2.6-liter twin-turbo inline-six, it was officially rated at 276 horsepower, though real-world numbers were much closer to 330. With advanced all-wheel drive, rear-wheel steering, and brutal acceleration, it could hit 60 miles per hour in about 4.9 seconds and embarrass cars that cost twice as much. Nissan never homologated the R34 for the US. It would not pass crash tests or emissions rules without expensive changes, so it stayed away. That did not stop importers from trying. A company called Moto X claimed to federalize R34s, but investigations later revealed fake paperwork and skipped safety steps. The government stepped in, seized cars, revoked registrations, and shut down the operation. Overnight, the R34 became an illegal legend. Owners lost cars, buyers panicked. Imports were banned until the 25-year rule reopened the door. By then, values had exploded. The R34 was not banned for being bad. It was banned for being too good and too difficult to tame. 2000, Tomicaira ZZ. The Tomicaira ZZ did not come from a major automaker. It came from a small Japanese tuning house that believed lightweight mattered more than everything else. The result was a raw, stripped-down sports car weighing just around 700 kilograms. Powered by a naturally aspirated 2.0-liter Nissan-sourced engine, making about 190 horsepower, it had a power-to-weight ratio that shocked far more expensive cars. With no airbags, no ABS, and no stability control, the ZZ offered nothing but driving. It could sprint to 60 miles per hour in roughly 4.5 seconds and felt more like a street-legal race car than a production vehicle. That purity is also why regulators shut the door on it. The car failed nearly every major safety rule in Europe and the United States. There was no crash testing, no emissions compliance, and no interest in adding modern safety systems. Production stopped after very few units, and overseas registration became almost impossible. Today, most Tomicaira ZZs live on racetracks or in private collections, remembered as a fearless idea that never fit the real world. 1987, Nissan Skyline GT-SRR 31. Before the GT-R name became legendary, Nissan built the Skyline GT-SRR 31 as a quiet experiment. Its only goal was to qualify for Group A touring car racing. To do that, Nissan produced exactly 800 units, just enough to satisfy the rules. It was never meant for mass appeal. Under the hood sat a turbocharged 2.0-liter RB20DETR inline-six, making 210 horsepower. What made it special was not the headline number, but the strength. Reinforced internals, a stronger block, and a massive T04 turbo gave it enormous tuning potential. With minor changes, it could punch far above its weight. The car was never officially exported. Emissions rules and crash standards outside Japan made approval unlikely, and Nissan did not bother trying. That kept the GT-SR hidden. Even today, it is rare, misunderstood, and often overlooked. But its importance is huge. The lessons learned from this car shaped everything that came after. The GT-SR was the blueprint. Without it, the GT-R legacy may never have returned at all. 1986 Toyota Chaser Avante Twin Turbo. The Toyota Chaser Avante twin-turbo is dangerous because it never looks dangerous. It is a boxy, conservative sedan that blends into traffic. That disguise fooled almost everyone except the people who drove it. Under the hood sat a 2.0-liter twin-turbo inline-six, making 185 horsepower and 173 pound-feet of torque, sent to the rear wheels with smooth confidence. It was not loud. It was not flashy. But it was fast enough to surprise sports coupes while carrying 4 adults in comfort. That balance made regulators nervous, especially in places like Australia and New Zealand, where power-to-weight rules for young drivers landed the Chaser on insurance blacklists. The car was never marketed as a performance model, and Toyota never pushed it outside Japan. Gray imports that did appear often faced emissions problems, VIN issues, or outright rejection. The Chaser became a sleeper in the truest sense, a car that felt illegal because it did everything quietly. It proved that sometimes the most dangerous cars are the ones that never warn you. 1995 Nissan GT-R Nismo 400R. The Nissan GT-R Nismo 400R sits at the edge of myth. Based on the R33 GT-R, Nismo rebuilt it into something far more extreme. Only 44 units were ever made. Each one carried a hand-built 2.8-liter twin-turbo inline-six, producing 400 horsepower and 346 pound-feet of torque. It could hit 60 miles per hour in about 4 seconds and keep pulling hard well past sane limits. This was not a tuned street car. It had racing internals, a carbon drive shaft, massive brakes, and a wide body built for high-speed stability. It also cost more than a new Ferrari 355. Nissan never officially exported it. No crash testing, no emissions approval, no interest in making it easy to own. Even today, registering a 400R is a battle. Paperwork is intense, inspections are strict, and some countries still say no. Nissan rarely talks about it. Nismo stays quiet. That silence only adds to its legend. The 400R was never meant to be remembered loudly. It was built for those who knew exactly where to look. Toyota 222D. The Toyota 222D is one of the most mysterious cars Japan ever built. It was created in the mid-1980s for Group S rallying, a class that was meant to replace the wildly dangerous Group B era. Toyota wanted a car that could dominate from day one, so it threw every rule of caution aside. The result was a mid-engine, all-wheel drive monster that barely resembled a road car. Only a handful of prototypes were ever made. Power came from a turbocharged engine producing an estimated 600 to 620 horsepower, which was insane for the time. The car was compact, brutally fast, and designed purely for rally stages. Engineers focused on balance, traction, and raw acceleration rather than comfort or reliability. Early testing suggested it could outperform anything Europe had built. Then, everything collapsed. After multiple fatal accidents in Group B, the FIA canceled both Group B and the upcoming Group S category. Overnight, the 222D had no reason to exist. It never raced, was never sold, and was locked away inside Toyota's facilities. Today, enthusiasts have pieced together its story using rare photos, documents, and engineer accounts. The 222D lives on as a ghost car, remembered not for what it did, but for what it almost became. Nissan MID4/MID42. The Nissan MID4 was Nissan's bold attempt to build a true Japanese supercar before the world was ready for one. Developed in the mid to late 1980s, the MID4 featured a mid-mounted engine and advanced all-wheel drive, something almost unheard of outside exotic European brands. Nissan wanted to prove it could compete with Ferrari and Porsche on engineering alone. Power came from a heavily modified twin-turbo V6, sending close to 500 horsepower through a torque-splitting AWD system that could adjust power front to rear in milliseconds. The chassis used a tubular steel space frame with aluminum panels, keeping weight low while maintaining high rigidity. Suspension was fully independent with race-inspired geometry, giving it handling that shocked test drivers. Aerodynamics were carefully shaped, with pop-up headlights, a wedge profile, and functional vents everywhere. Nissan engineers claimed the MID4 could hit 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds and approach 190 miles per hour. But performance came at a cost. The car was extremely expensive to build and impossible to justify for a brand still known for affordable cars. Safety rules, emissions laws, and internal doubts killed the project. Only a few prototypes survived. While it never reached production, the MID4 directly influenced later Skyline GTR technology, quietly redirecting Nissan's performance future. 1990, Honda NSX Type R prototype. Before the NSX Type R became famous, Honda built a prototype that was far more extreme than anything the public ever saw. This car was designed with one idea in mind: total driver focus. Engineers stripped away everything that did not help performance. Sound insulation, luxury features, power steering, and even air conditioning were removed to save weight. The naturally aspirated 3.0-liter V6 produced around 270 to 280 horsepower. That number sounds modest, but the lightweight chassis and perfect balance made the car feel alive. Honda reworked the suspension, steering, brakes, and weight distribution to create a machine that rewarded skill and punished mistakes. Every control felt sharp and direct. The problem came when Honda looked toward the US market. The prototype lacked airbags and structural reinforcements required by American safety laws. Adding them would have ruined the car's purpose by increasing weight and dulling feedback. Honda refused to compromise. As a result, the prototype never left Japan. Only a few test cars were built, and most were never intended for sale. Today, it is remembered as one of the purest, driver-focused cars Honda ever created, a symbol of what happens when engineering passion meets regulatory limits. 1995 Toyota Supra GT500 road car. The 1995 Toyota Supra GT500 road car sits in a strange space between race car and street machine. Built as a homologation concept for Japan's GT500 racing class, it pushed the already powerful A80 Supra into extreme territory. These were not normally tuned Supras. They were race cars pretending to be road legal. Under the hood, the twin-turbo 2JZ engine was pushed beyond 600 horsepower using forged internals, upgraded turbos, and aggressive tuning. The chassis was reinforced with roll cage elements, and almost all comfort features were removed. Aerodynamics were wild, with massive wings, wide fenders, and splitters designed for high-speed tracks, not city streets. That was the problem. The cars were dangerous outside a racetrack. Emissions rules were violated, safety concerns were raised, and drivability was questionable at best. Regulators stepped in, and Toyota was forced to stop the project. Many prototypes were destroyed or locked away. Only rumors, photos, and internal documents remain. The GT500 road cars became a legend, proving Toyota could build a true supercar, even if the world never allowed it to be sold. 1975 Toyota Celica Turbo Prototype. In the mid-1970s, Toyota came surprisingly close to changing performance car history, and almost no one knows about it. The 1975 Toyota Celica Turbo Prototype was built during a time when horsepower was shrinking fast. Emissions laws were tightening, fuel prices were rising, and big engines were falling out of favor. While most manufacturers were retreating, Toyota quietly tried something bold: turbocharging. At the time, turbo engines were rare and risky. A few American and European attempts had already failed, earning turbos a reputation for unreliability and dirtiness. Still, Toyota engineers believed forced induction could unlock serious power from small four-cylinder engines without killing fuel economy. Using the Celica's 18R engine as a base, they built several turbocharged prototypes that reportedly produced power similar to that of six-cylinder sports cars. Test drivers loved them. The cars remained light, balanced, and quick, delivering performance far beyond the standard Celica. On paper, Toyota had one of the earliest mass-market turbo sports coupes almost ready. Then, reality hit. Japan's new emissions regulations were brutal. Early turbo tech produced too much pollution, and catalytic converters were still primitive. Toyota had no way to make the car legal. The project was quietly canceled, and most prototypes were destroyed. Today, only photos and internal notes prove it existed. Had it launched, the Celica might have become a turbo legend years ahead of its time. These banned Japanese cars remind us that progress does not always come from playing it safe. Many of these vehicles failed not because they were bad, but because they were too bold for their time. They challenged rules, tested limits, and sometimes scared the people who were supposed to approve them. And while some deserved their fate, others may have been misunderstood masterpieces. What makes these cars so compelling is the mystery around them. They sit at the intersection of innovation and controversy, frozen in a moment when the automotive world said no. Yet years later, those same ideas often resurface in modern cars, proving that being early can be just as dangerous as being wrong. If you enjoyed uncovering these forgotten chapters of Japanese car history, make sure to support the channel. Hit like to help this video reach more curious car fans. Subscribe if you want more stories about banned vehicles, lost prototypes, and automotive secrets the industry does not advertise. And now, we want to hear from you. Which of these cars do you think was treated unfairly? Which one would you bring back if you could? Drop your answer in the comments below, and let's talk about the cars that were never meant to survive, but never truly disappeared.